about the right shoulder.
I'm obsessed with it. I can't live without justice for Brooke. I can't go on with my own life. That's all I can think. I want justice.
Corey Parker lives in Florida. She disappeared just after Thanksgiving, and her family began searching for her. A colleague went to her apartment and made a rather disturbing discovery. In our first case today, we will talk about Corey Parker's life story and the investigation process. We will witness 2 horrific murders at Vincennes University and the arrest of the killer. Brace yourselves. We're stepping into the crime scene now. Corey Parker was born on August 15, 1973, in Rochester, New York. Having grown up in Rochester, she later moved to Florida for university. Living by the beach brought her immense joy, and she preferred staying in Florida even during holidays when she had no classes. Corey was scheduled to work as a waitress at a restaurant on Friday, November 27, 1998, just after Thanksgiving. However, her unexpected absence from work that day raised concerns among her colleagues. The last friend to speak up mentioned that they had spoken to her on the evening before Thanksgiving, while Corey was enjoying time with friends at a bar, and she left around midnight. Concerned by her absence on Friday morning, a colleague from the restaurant decided to check on her. Corey's apartment was on the ground floor, close to the restaurant. Upon arrival, the colleague found Corey's apartment door locked, and after knocking persistently, received no response. The boss suggested looking through the window, where he saw a foot and bloodstains in her bedroom, indicating a grim scene. He immediately reported the alarming scene to his boss, who then promptly called the police to inform them of the unusual situation. The police requested a welfare check. Upon entering Corey's bedroom, the police officers were horrified by the brutal stabbing. Corey's body, the bed, and the walls were covered in blood. The position of her body suggested a sexually motivated attack. No evidence of sexual assault was found. Corey's clothes from the night before were neatly folded on her bed. Based on the scene, the police assumed that the murderer might have entered the apartment, either while Corey was sleeping or had waited for her to return home. Interestingly, aside from the chaos in the bedroom, the rest of the apartment appeared undisturbed, with no signs of forced entry, puzzling the investigators. The evidence indicates that the struggle occurred in the bedroom. Bloodstains were discovered near the sink and outside the window, suggesting that the killer entered through the kitchen window. The coroner's report later unveiled the horrific extent of the attack, revealing that Corey had been stabbed 101 times, with a shocking 54 of these wounds inflicted posthumously. Corey fought for her life, attempting to defend herself against the stabs, but unfortunately suffered a deep wound while trying to grab the knife with her left hand. Corey died from a deep cut to her neck that severed 2 main arteries, causing her to lose consciousness. Her attacker continued to stab her multiple times in the stomach and face. The nature and brutality of the attack led the police to suspect that the perpetrator was someone familiar to Corey. Corey's family, friends, and colleagues were interviewed. As the investigation progressed, 2 of Corey's colleagues, Eric and Tiffany, emerged as notable figures. When questioned, Eric unexpectedly confessed to having dreams about Corey, while Tiffany revealed she had spent time with Corey the night before. Eric informed the authorities that he had invited Corey to his home for Thanksgiving dinner, but she did not attend. Among those familiar with Corey, it was speculated that Tiffany might have harbored romantic feelings for her. Tiffany confirmed that they had gone out together, but had departed in separate vehicles at the end of the evening. Tiffany stated that she called Corey that night and went to her apartment around 4, only to leave upon realizing she had fallen asleep there. Following Tiffany's statement, The police checked the phone records and discovered that there were no calls between Corey and Tiffany. Although 2 of Corey's colleagues exhibited strange behavior, no evidence of a crime was found in either of them. DNA samples were taken from bloodstains in Corey's apartment and hair strands on her underwear, but no match was found. Corey's boyfriend David Wilt was confirmed to be out of state on Thanksgiving, spending the day with his family. Corey and David had only been together for 3 weeks. A significant lead came from a neighbor of Corey's who reported a suspicious man, nicknamed Lurking Tom, frequently seen peering into Corey's window for extended periods. The neighbor contacted the sheriff's office, and a robotic portrait of the man was created, but his identity remains unknown. 18 months after the incident, in a renewed effort to solve the case, the police offered a $20,000 reward for any leads on Corey's death. This call for information reignited interest in the case, prompting people in the region to recall that time. After discussing Corey's murder with 2 friends, Julia Sedgwick felt compelled to contact the police, thereby contributing to the investigation. She mentioned that she worked in the same restaurant as Robert Eric Denny, who was 17 years old at the time of Corey Parker's tragic death. Significantly at that time, Robert lived just across the street from Corey's house, a mere 35 yards away. After Corey's death, the police spoke with Robert, but no suspicious circumstances were found around him. Robert informed the police that he didn't know Corey, and upon inquiry confirmed he had no injuries. He was not considered a suspect in the case. Julia also informed the police about an incident in January 1999 when Robert had called her, expressing his need for help and his state of depression. Julia further reported to the police that Robert's behavior had become increasingly erratic, characterized by intense brooding and excessive smoking. As part of their ongoing investigation, the police discovered that Robert had moved to Maryland, where he was living with a woman he had met online. They contacted him and asked for a DNA sample, but Robert refused. This led the police to start following Robert. Robert exhibited extreme caution in his actions. Notably, whenever he smoked, he never discarded the cigarette butt, choosing instead to always take it with him. Concerned by Robert's increasingly paranoid behavior at work, especially his strange habit of collecting cigarette butts in garbage bags to take home, his boss decided to contact the police. Additionally, Robert exhibited suspicious behavior during his police interview, notably refusing an offer of water, a tactic that seemed to be part of his broader pattern of evasion. During a break in his work, he went outside to smoke a cigarette, and the police noticed him spitting as he walked. They collected the saliva sample and sent it to the lab. The DNA analysis revealed a crucial piece of evidence. Robert's DNA matched the hair strands and bloodstains found in Corey's apartment. Robert was arrested in November 2000. The prosecution claimed that in the year of the murder, Robert lived in the block across the street from Corey's apartment, only 35 meters away. From this position, Robert had a direct view of Corey's apartment, allowing him to observe the inside of the house at all times. They claimed that Robert followed Corey the night before Thanksgiving and then climbed in through the kitchen window shortly after Corey returned home. Corey Parker being found naked and in an obscene position led to speculations of a sexually motivated attack, although there was no concrete evidence to confirm this. Significantly, even Robert's sister testified, revealing her brother's unusual behavior and his habit of staying up late watching pornography. The prosecution presented what they believed to be a crucial piece of evidence, a lighter found in Corey's bedroom, which they claimed belonged to Robert. It was alleged during the trial that Robert had accidentally dropped a lighter during the attack, a claim supported when this lighter was later identified by his ex-girlfriend as belonging to him. The defense argued that Corey's murder was not committed by a single person and that multiple individuals may have been involved. Additionally, the complexity of the case deepened as some DNA samples collected from hair strands at the scene failed to match any known individuals. Robert maintained his innocence, claiming that he had never seen Corey before. He denied that the Zippo lighter found in Corey's bedroom was his, stating that he had a different one. The prosecution immediately refuted his claim, stating that the Zippo lighter he claimed to have was produced after Corey's murder. In a desperate attempt to explain the forensic evidence, Robert suggested implausible sources for the blood and hair samples at the crime scene, such as a neighborhood cat or something as far-fetched as a violent sneeze. However, despite his attempts to challenge the evidence presented against him, Robert's arguments were ultimately deemed insufficient by the jury, culminating in his conviction for the murder of Corey Parker. The jury reached their verdict in just 45 minutes, and Robert Denny was sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of Corey Parker. Before we dive into our next story, if you could take a moment to hit that like button, it would mean the world to us. A single click for you is a huge boost of encouragement for us. Elizabeth Brooke Baker was born on April 24, 1978 in Vincennes, Indiana. She grew up in a financially challenging environment but was determined to pursue her dreams. She developed a passion for writing at a young age and aspirated to captivate others through storytelling. In 1996, Elisa was accepted into the journalism department at Vincennes University, one of Indiana's oldest colleges. Starting as a writer for the campus newspaper, she quickly made a name for herself with her courage and talent. Fearless in addressing controversial topics, she mainly aimed to write captivating stories about fraternity and sorority activities on campus. These organizations, known as fraternities and sororities, engage in philanthropic activities and host university parties. They provide rally training to new members, including etiquette and dress code, and create networking opportunities for recent graduates. In 1997, there was an attack at a fraternity house on campus. Eliza researched the case and discovered that it had a tragic outcome. During her investigations, she came across individuals who were covering up the crime. Interestingly, some of her friends, members of this fraternity, were hesitant to discuss the matter. Eliza managed to identify the victim and conducted an interview. However, the victim was threatened and succumbed to the pressure from fraternity members. Eliza interviewed several women on campus who had been harassed by fraternity members. The fraternity members sent her threatening messages when they found out about her investigation. While her mother, Janet Baker, was worried about her safety, Eliza reassured her, explaining that her actions were aimed at preventing harm to others. In early 1997, Eliza moved to a new apartment off campus due to safety concerns. The host also worked as a campus police officer. On September 7, 1997, Eliza's 18-year-old brother, Bron, went to visit her house. Calling out for her and receiving no response, he heard water running in the bathroom, turned it off, and continued his search. What he found was horrifying. Eliza was lying naked on her mattress, having been stabbed multiple times. There were signs that she had been bound. Police, called to the scene, found no evidence of forced entry, yet her arm wounds were notably severe. At the scene, a towel, bottles of bleach and dish soap were discovered, along with the murder weapon in the kitchen sink. Forensic teams collected DNA samples from Eliza's body and sent them to the lab for analysis, along with other evidence that could aid the investigation. After discovering Eliza's affair with a man from the university, the police quickly pursued this lead. Eliza had attended a party the night before her murder, leaving early while her boyfriend remained. The police contacted Eliza's university professors and her close circle to gather information about the sorority's research. Angered by their exposed secret, fraternity members left a note on Eliza's front door, a fact reported to the police by her friend. Based on this information, the police focused on three main theories: the actions of the fraternity members, Eliza's landlord, who was a police officer, and an independent third suspect. Initially, the police reached out to the fraternity members. All of them denied any involvement in the crime, but the police still added them to the list of suspects. Eliza's landlord is a police officer who entered her apartment without permission and behaved disturbingly. Eliza had informed her friends and family about the incident. Suspecting that the landlord may have entered the apartment on the night of the murder and killed Eliza after an altercation, the police had to consider his claim of being at work during the murder. The police have named their last suspect John Doe. Eliza posted an ad for a roommate in the campus newspaper. John Doe responded to the ad and contacted Eliza. The police found no signs of forced entry into Eliza's apartment during their investigation. This situation suggests that John Doe, who pretended to be Eliza's roommate, may have attacked her. However, the theory cannot be pursued further due to the lack of evidence and the unknown identity of the person. Upon comparing Eliza's DNA with that of her landlord and boyfriend, none matched the murderers, leading to their removal from the suspect list and refocusing the investigation on the fraternity members. Approximately 65 men were identified and voluntarily provided DNA samples. However, none of these samples matched the perpetrator's DNA found at the crime scene, leading to the exoneration of the fraternity members. Police questioned Eliza's cousin, a former housemate, as a potential suspect. However, he was uncooperative and refused to answer questions. Eliza's case, with its many unanswered questions, was transferred to Knox County, Indiana, where her family remained hopeful for new evidence to emerge.
I can't live without justice for Brook.
Only in the spring of 1999 did a new report emerge, reactivating and ultimately resolving the case. On July 5, 1999, the police visited Erica Norman's house after receiving a missing person report from Vincennes University. Inside, they discovered a horrific scene. Erica Norman was born on November 13, 1977, and grew up in a large and happy family. She excelled academically at Vincennes University and was an active member of various clubs and societies. Erica left her home for the last time on July 4th, and that same evening, she was seen with a stranger at a local restaurant, after which her friends reported her missing. Police found Erica's apartment in a disarray akin to Eliza Baker's crime scene, with no signs of forced entry, but clear evidence of a struggle and blood splatters. It was discovered that Erica had been at a bar called the Green Parrot the night before she disappeared, and she was seen there with a man named Brian Jones. The police recognized the name. He looked a lot like Brian Jones, who was the roommate of Eliza's boyfriend. Brian, taken to the police station for questioning, confessed to meeting Erica at a bar and going to her place to watch a movie. However, he claimed to have left quietly when Erica fell asleep. In their search for Erica, the police discovered her body in a plastic tub hidden in a nearby cornfield. DNA samples from Erica's body matched those of Brian, implicating him in both her and Eliza's murders. Brian Jones was arrested and charged with the murder of Eliza Baker. He also faced a separate trial for the murder of Erica Norman. Brian admitted to killing Erica, yet he pleaded not guilty to Eliza's attack and murder, against which the prosecution presented a compelling case. Brian Jones's lawyers contended that the evidence, while suggestive, fell short of being conclusive proof of the murder. On December 14, 2000, Brian Jones was convicted of Eliza Baker's murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. After Brian's conviction, Eliza's father, Maurice Baker, expressed his satisfaction to the media. The Indiana University Press Association created the Eliza Baker Journalist of the Year Award to commemorate Eliza's memory and her dedication to journalism. Each year, this award is presented to an Indiana University student whose writing motivates them to effect change in the world. Before we conclude this video, please be aware that the video on the left may be disturbing. It is recommended for adult viewing only. On the right, you'll find a playlist of videos that have been highly appreciated by our viewers.